Recording in progress.
Recording Queen Priyanka, global icon and superstar.
Here she is. Little
Welcome to
Moon.
Conversations, where we talk about being Asian and more.
Asian. South Asia.
South Asia, you have been so booked and busy.
It's true. Bitch,
It's
I'm
true.
busy. Bitch, I'm
So,
busy is actually one of the songs I wrote,
yes.
and it is manifested. Is real, real.
I feel like you've manifested a lot in your life. Yeah. So, let's get into it.
Okay.
Back to the very beginning.
I mean, we are the beginning. You are a big part of the beginning. I saw
Yeah.
you doing a fashion segment on Rogers TV because you were doing your co-op there, and that's when I realized that there was space for me in the television industry and that I could also have a position there. So you are an actual foundational part of that.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. But honestly, like, okay, so for everyone who is going to watch this later, backstory. We went to high school together. You were younger than me, but we went to high school together. You always hung out with the older kids because you were cool. And we loved you and we adopted you because we loved you. But you were always born to be a star. And I think we all knew that in high school. Like our parents, everyone, we were all like, Mark was born to be a star.
Yeah.
And you were in our fashion show that we did. You came to our prom. We did our little radio show one summer in your house in Whitby, Ontario. And it's like been amazing to see how far you've come and like we talked like the manifestation. Like you really did manifest this for yourself because you truly were born to perform.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And yes. But but like also I think it's like really cool to like because in a lot of the interviews I've been doing, I've been like saying that like everything that you've said, like like the people that I went to high school, like it's like they get it, like they always saw this for me, but like I knew I wanted to do it, but maybe I didn't necessarily see myself actually doing it in this form.
Right.
But
Right.
it's cool to have this moment with you to actually be like, yeah, like I was one of the people who knew.
Yes, yes. And I mean, okay, I wasn't gonna pull this up this early, but it's time. This is maybe from like 2005. So this was like my flip phone, cell phone camera. So the quality is crazy. Get ready for it.
Okay. Oh my God, I remember this, Marissa's house. Yes. Oh my God, I love this!
Yeah, yeah. So I will never. Let's just take a moment right now to take that in.
Wow. I didn't actually, because I have my hard drive with photos of
Yes,
you from the
yes,
fashion show,
yes,
from like those days, just hanging out, taking selfies all the time.
yes.
I don't have that video.
I'll
You
send
only
it to
have
you.
the video. That's incredible. I'm like literally in shock because like this is what I love about this whole this is what I love about being human is that like you think you have control over the things that you think that is out there. And I was like, oh, I know what photo she's gonna pull up today. I know exactly what photo, but I love what I felt during that was more intense than I thought because it's crazy. I'm like wearing blue because I think that that's what boys have to wear. There's a split second where you see me like really like own that choreography. Hot like me.
Yeah.
And then I start like laughing it off, right? Like my back starts to turn to the camera and there's a little bit of like I'm slouching, but I'm trying to laugh it off, but then it's like my body still wants to dance, but I'm like, no, I'm a joke. I'm just a joke. This is all a big joke. Whatever. And I like almost feel like almost like pain for that kid. I'm like, oh, like you wanna be a star. I know you do.
Yeah.
and
But
like it's crazy watching it. But I also, on the more positive side, is that like I'm so happy that I was able to hang out with the girls and dance to the Pussycat Dolls.
oh, and none of us knew that choreography. Only you. Let it just be known. We were like shocked
It's
and just
incredible too.
amazed.
I keep doing these interviews and I'm always like, yeah, like I was that kid dancing to Pussycat Dolls, and then now you're like, yeah, you were.
You were. And so the crazy thing was because obviously, you were on YTV for several years,
Mhm.
and there was a party. It was a Halloween party. I forget what the actual event was. And I see these drag queens across the room walking towards me. And then I see one of them waving at me. And I'm like, why is this beautiful drag queen waving at me, walking up towards me? And you're like, Madeline, it's me. And I didn't know that you did drag. And that was the
Oh,
first
okay.
time I had seen you in drag. And then you performed. And
Whoa.
I saw some of your moves and I was like, just taken back to Caitlin Lowe's basement when you did those moves. And it was so emotional because I was like, to see you so proudly be yourself
Wow.
on stage in front of so many people. Like this was a big party. It was like a big industry party.
Yeah,
And I
I remember.
remember that time too, you were like, don't tag my boy account for this.
Yeah, I was doing it was secret,
It
secret,
was, you
secret.
were still your Hannah Montana life.
Yes, I was. I remember that so clearly because YTV, although was an amazing time in my life, there was this, I mean, I also am like, a PR girl too, where I'm like, oh, like I don't want to ruffle any feathers, so like let me put the Queen Priyanka's Instagram on private. Like don't tag me because like I don't want to get in trouble. But I also was like I felt like I needed to control that narrative without them even asking me. Um, until that wasn't the case, which is really hard. Because yeah, like living a double life is not fun.
Right. I mean, and I think that's maybe a theme that a lot of queer kids, a lot of kids who feel like outsiders, feel like they live growing up, is that
Mm,
double life, right? So I'm
absolutely.
picturing, Mark in his bedroom, dancing, singing, right?
Yeah.
And then Mark in high school, in the blue shirt. Yeah.
Right? It's like weirdly like I don't know, like because I am who I am now, there's like this such a big celebration.
Yes.
But I mean, this is like what everything I'm doing now with the music and any even all the TikToks I'm posting is just like everything now is all because of that kid wearing that blue shirt who's me and they used to dance in my bright blue bedroom and like like that's why I'm so like yes, I lived the double life, but I got out of it. And like I just wish that there was a world where even like for because it doesn't even relate to like only queer people. It relates to people of color. Like
Yes.
we go to school and we act like white people. And then we go home and we put on our accents or speak our language or and eat our
Our food.
much better food than what
Yes, way
the
better.
cafeteria was giving us. But if anybody was to ask what we ate for dinner last night, it was like, oh, we just had meat and potatoes, you know? So like the double life is more than just being in the closet. It's like such a real thing for us that come from immigrant families.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I would love to hear more of your experience, like and how it felt for you, growing up as a brown kid in
Mm.
Whitby, which everyone nicknamed Whiteby at the time. There's a lot more brown kids in Whitby now.
Yeah.
But, back then in our school where, we were in a Catholic school,
Hmm.
I think about the cafeteria. I think about, where all the black kids sat. We called
Yeah.
that Cafrica.
Africa.
Everyone called that Cafrica.
Hmm.
And I know personally I assimilated so much towards the white kids
Yeah.
because as an East Asian, there was that, need to have the proximity to whiteness. But I'm so curious for you as a brown kid who was closeted. What was that like for you?
It was, on one hand, I didn't even know I was closeted. Like I was so like I was in a bubble of like grew up in this house where everyone is straight, like I loved the idea of like finding a partner and having children but it was never associated with a gender. It was just like, oh, I guess I'll just like have a wife and kids, sure. But I didn't. I had girlfriends in high school. You saw me have girlfriends, like, and I felt some kind of connection to them. But it was like the older I was getting, the more I couldn't connect. I was like, huh, like what is it? Like
Yeah.
I can't, like something's going on here. But when you're that young, you're just like, I just don't like them. I'll find another girlfriend.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I remember when like finding there was no space to like really find myself in high school because like I didn't even know what I was searching for. I was like friends with all of the older kids and it was the best because like they weren't questioning me, right? So I'd never had to ever have to think about who I am or ever be like, "Hey Mark, like are you gay?" Like these older like yourself, like these older kids like took me under their wings and I was their kid. Like it was like we're protecting our child.
Yeah.
So like if anybody ever says, "Oh, that Mark kid is gay," I'm certain you've had many conversations behind my back about like it doesn't matter. Fuck,
Hmm.
like it's none of your business. Who cares? Leave him alone.
Yeah.
And and I know you all were doing that in high school. Um, so I in for in I feel very fortunate that I was able to be in a more protective space because I still, no matter what, was still me. Like there was that monster, it's not a monster, but like that monster who was like
Yeah.
who I actually am now, who has always been there, that big dreamer, that performer, that sassy person, the big personality, the one who wants to dance all the time, the one who wants to sing all the time. Like I was always there. I think I thought that going to a Catholic school was good. My mom was like, "We're gonna put you all in Catholic school because they're stricter there," and like, and I loved wearing a uniform because I didn't have to think about what I had to wear every single
Hmm.
day. But
Hmm.
then I think about the non-uniform days and then not knowing what my identity was. I didn't know what to wear. I
Hmm.
thought about like going to parties and I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll just put on this oversized blue shirt and baggy jeans.
Hmm.
And I think about those days because that's it. Like for function, yeah, a uniform is easier. I gotta think about it. But when you haven't really had space to express
Yeah.
or be encouraged to express, like you can't actually find yourself. So really and truly, like going to a Catholic school and like not really like being able to figure out your fashion,
Yeah.
like put a really big like dent in my growth and I didn't really find myself till like much later. I'm still finding myself now because of that. I
Hmm.
think like being a brown kid in that school specifically was it was interesting. Like it was very interesting because there was just simply like there was brown kids there, but brown people are so weird.
What do you mean by that?
Because like and I experienced this in high school, I experienced this in college, I experienced this in when I was on Drag Race. Like whenever they see another brown person, they feel like they can't support that brown person because
Mm.
we're so used to being the only one.
Yeah.
If there's somebody else that's brown,
Mm.
it's like it turns into like jealousy. It's like a jealousy thing,
Hmm.
or it's a like I can't like I can only be your brown like I can be the only brown friend that you have.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how quickly we like tokenize ourselves like that because of the media. We had like
Hmm.
Apu and the Simpsons, that's it.
Hmm.
And high school was a lot of that experience of like not even like realizing that I was brown
Mm.
in many ways. Like obviously I knew my skin color was brown,
Right.
but it was more of the ownership of like my heart and how I grew up and listening to
Hmm.
Bollywood music and going home and eating chicken curry and like I never ever brought that kind of food or talked about that kind of food at All Saints
Hmm.
at my high school, our high school.
High school.
I never once ever talked about watching Bollywood music movies at that school. So it's kind of like it was just so fall in line and be like us. There's no
Hmm.
space for other here.
Hmm.
In like the talent show, there wasn't like the one girl who did the Bollywood number. It was all just like whatever the hell it was, vanilla, vanilla.
I remember there was a guy singing about how he loved cardigans.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, I remember this guy.
I don't
Was that
remember his
Zach?
name. I don't remember his name, but his song was just like, I love cardigans, and I hope you like them too.
I
And if you
remember
like my
this guy.
cardigan, I like you.
Why is that such a core memory? I'm dead. That's
But
like
that
so.
was the stuff we were kind of like, that was the norm, right? And
Yes.
you know what you were saying about finding yourself and you weren't even sure like who to be and how to kind of exist in that world. I think that's what makes representation so beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Because right now we have Queen Priyanka, and I'm sure there are plenty of brown boys who are seeing Queen Priyanka and who are like,
Absolutely.
oh, I can be like this. I can sing and dance to my heart's desire. I can be a star too. I can be unapologetically myself.
Mm-hmm. It's so that's my mantra, honestly. Like that is my mission. That's like all I ever care about. I remember like when I like before I got to YTV, I like had this like conversation with myself. And I was like, so like what like why do you want to do this? Like do you want to be
Mm,
famous? Like do you want attention? Like what exactly is the your like purpose for um wanting to be a television host? And I remember this so vividly, like just saying to myself, all what I care about is entertaining people and creating escape for them because we have hard days. Simple. And back then I thought like, what, that's so basic. Who fuck cares about that shit? But now,
we
like
need it more than ever.
that's it, right? Like and with drag is the added layer. It's kind of like you create the escape for people to inspire them to know that your craziest and wildest dreams that everyone else around you tells you is crazy because you're brown or you're Asian or whatever you are can't happen. Like that's what drag did for me. I go, wait a second, you're telling me that this motherfucker is dressed up as a woman right now and they're selling me the pop star fantasy and I believe it. Anything is possible.
Yeah,
Like it has to be then, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I
And high school don't teach you that.
no, no, they teach you to stay in that box.
Well, Mr. Smith,
Oh yes, I remember Mr. Smith.
um, I wrote a song called "Bad Bitches Don't Cry" in 2023 with Ralph, and we're coming up with the treatment for the music video. And I truly believe that like my best art is the one that comes from my life experiences. And I'm not trying to like PR something. I feel like the more PR stuff I've ever done have been the things that have fallen, but the things that have come from my heart. Like, what kind of story do I want to tell, and how? What's the positive spin on this? Because if I'm just doing something to just call out somebody, then that's not good. I don't like that at
Right,
all. It's not
right.
funny or fair. But we have those teachers in high school that try to hold us back.
Yeah.
And I remember going to Mr. Smith's office. You book an appointment, I think, with the guidance counselor. And so I went to my guidance counselor appointment, and he said that you shouldn't go on TV. You'll never be a star. Those words exactly. It was like you won't get a job. You'll never be a star. Now I know in my heart that when these things have happened to me, because it happened to me at YTV as well, is there's like this. It's more like just play it safe, buddy.
Yeah.
You gotta go and like maybe fail. Just play it safe. You don't need to go do this media thing. Like, go be a dentist. Go do something that like you go to school for, and you just do it.
Right.
Or they're just being asked. You never know until you ask. And when I very publicly was like, yeah, I had a guidance counselor told me, um, I'm not going to be a star, but I don't care. I'm going to go for it. Like you can't listen to people. Like I'm a bad bitch. I'm not going to cry about that. I'm going to cry about real things and real pain and real heartbreak, not your clownery. And I didn't realize that I had a big high school fan base. Like they, like I didn't realize. I don't know why
We
I didn't
love you. We
realize.
love you.
Living for you. And the word got back to Mr. Smith that have been publicly talking about. In my music video, I like dressed up a clown and the clown is Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
And a student and I knew he knew, and it was kind of this thing where it was like we never really like talked about it,
Yeah.
and on my TikTok, the All Saints students are like, "Oh my God, is this All Saints? Like, what the hell?" Um, and it was literally last week I got a message from a fan that was like, "Hey Pri, like, I just wanted to tell you, like, um, I don't know if anyone has told you this, but I something kind of just told me to tell you this. But when your video came out, it was like Mr. Smith's like last year before he retired,
Mm,
and he any new class that he started or any time he had a chance to speak to a group of people, he always mentioned that story that he told you that you'd never be a star and that he regrets saying it and that he
mm.
now wants to encourage anybody to go follow their dreams.
How did that make you feel?
That's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
In what way?
It's like it's like change for good. It's like change for good. It's like we're so wrapped up on our TikToks, like watching people talk about their trauma all the time.
Hmm.
And I think that I love that people can share their stories and they can be heard. That's so important. But
Hmm.
as somebody who really, really wants to do good for people,
Yeah.
my whole thing now is like, if you're gonna share a traumatic story from your childhood about this guidance counselor who told you you'll never be a star, like, why?
Hmm.
Because if you want to share that story for like likes and streams, and this is a lesson for me, by the way. Like
Hmm.
at the time, it was like it was rebellious. It was like I'm gonna do this because like I'm mad about it still. How
Right.
dare he? And I know that when I tell this story on TikTok, it's gonna get me more followers and more likes. That was the intention.
Hmm.
And then when I've been doing so much healing this year
Yeah.
and so much like connecting with my heart, and when she this the student messaged me this, I was like, this is a reminder that whenever you're going to do stuff like that and call people out, like what is the intention? If your intention, if like this is my lesson, if my intention was fame and fortune, I kept calling people out, that's the demise of my career as we know it.
Hmm.
But now I know that going forward, if I'm going to tell these life stories about the people who have hurt me in the past,
Mm.
my intention has to be for change,
Right.
because that's the way that it'll reach people. And also my message of creating escape for people while inspiring them to do the best things that they could do with their lives is still the mission. Because you know,
Hmm.
you see those TikToks of people being like, another day, another car accident. I was on the 401 the other day and someone cut me off, and they cut me off because I'm gay. It's like, is that why they cut you off? But the first video got you 100,000 followers, so now you have to keep talking about it.
Right. Right.
You don't
I
have to, but you're choosing to.
Yeah, I love how you have that intention behind everything. And I love that that student, it kind of came full circle for you. And I mean, it brings us to the first song on your album, I'm a Star, which is a banger, by the way. So at your
Um,
album release party, I just kept singing it. Like
Coming.
all night I was singing it. And I'm like, I want to like use this as positive affirmations for all the kids I know,
Mhm.
to just really embrace that stardom and not let people dim your light.
Yeah, that song is so important to me because I mean so many different reasons. Like when I went into the studio, the one of the writers was like, "Let's just do like a typical drag song," and I was like, "I'm not gonna go in that box, motherfucker. I have stories to tell." Um, and it's just like plain and simple, I am a star. And like to everybody else who isn't, who doesn't view themselves as a star, you could be a star at anything. You can be a star at interviewing people. You can be a star at walking down the street. You can start walking your dog. But like whatever it is like that's just 100% you. Ownership of you,
Hmm.
and being proud of who you are, and just the way that that song makes me feel and how we finished that song. It was like I recorded that song. Well, I recorded the demo in 2022,
Hmm.
and it wasn't until 2023 we like started to finish it.
Mm.
And then I kept working on my voice and working on my confidence
Hmm.
and was like, let's put this song up a key. I
Mm.
can sing higher than this.
Mm.
And everyone's like, no, no, no. That means that we're gonna have to like retune all the violins and re da da da. Da." I don't care.
Mm.
Let's do it. I'm a star, right?
Hmm.
Everyone's like, oh shit. I guess this, but that's the thing is that like the reason why that song is so cool is because it's like that fight of like it's to the surface this like disco 80s inspired Dua Lipa sounding song,
Hmm.
but then when the chorus hits, it's like this dirty like not typical dance beat chorus because I was like, I want everything to have a, like a turn on its head because like that's my career.
Hmm.
Like nothing is typical.
Hmm.
Like nothing is typical. Everything is
No.
like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. You know? So like that's why that song is so cool, but that's also what just like getting people to break out of their heads of like you can do anything.
Hmm. Hmm. So, if I'm correct, this is all self-funded, your album.
Oh yeah, so
And
good.
you're your own manager, you're your own kind of everything. And I
For
think
now.
for now. But what I love about you is that you go after what you want. And no matter how many people, try to put those barriers for you, whether it's the Mr. Smiths of the world, whether it's people being like, no, we can't turn it up a key, but that's going to take extra work. And you're like, so what? This is what I want to do. Let's do
Mhm.
it. And I'm wondering, where did this, authority or confidence come from to just be like, fuck it, no, I'm going to do this. Let's do it this way.
Yeah. So I think I'm like thinking about like all the things that like inspire me to be this way. Like, I mean, I always say like my mom getting on an airplane at the age of 10 years old to alone to sponsor her entire family to come over from Guyana is actually psychotic. Cause like
It's wild.
what?
Wild.
And
I can't.
all of our, if you have an immigrant family, your parents
Yeah.
have done something that you can't even believe.
Yeah.
Or your parents have protected you from a story they're not even telling you because they have too much pride and they did something to make sure that they put a roof over your head as children. Like this is that's what it is. And I think of those things. And my dad, the same thing, like his dad died at a young age and he like took care of his whole family at the age of 17. Like these things, and I'm just kind of like, these are two people who never take no for an answer, who don't seem like they have a lazy bone in their body. Like they just like you walk through the door and all of a sudden like the flour's coming in, they're cooking the roti. I'm like, how? I have to like think about cooking a roti for 4 days before I actually do it. Like, how? But I think about that. I think about like the fact that like no is not a real answer in my career world. No is a real answer in many different ways, but you know what I mean. Um, and I think about like that album release party you came to. I mean, it was like very like me realizing like shit, I'm doing a lot of this myself, and I don't have like a label to throw me an album release party, but this is so important. Like this is such a big deal, and I'm gonna celebrate it. So I'm gonna make sure it happens. And everyone's like, Priyanka, like it's next Wednesday. You want to do this? I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I was like, but I'm also smart. I'm a business girl. So I'll like fucking put together the YouTube camera crew and get it all
Yeah.
shot so it also doubles up as content. Like now
Yeah.
we have acoustic arrangements for like any other show. Like it's gonna everything serves a purpose. And I really, really think that it's my mom and my dad who have made me this way.
How do you think, or I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of ways, but in bullet points, if you can,
Yes.
how has your life changed since Drag Race, since
Mm.
winning?
I finally feel like a winner. I finally feel like all my wildest dreams have come true. I am able to actually be as important as I think a lot of brown people deserve to be important. Um, I lost a lot of friends, and then you realize that they're not actually friends if you lose them. That's a toughie. I value relationships a lot more than I ever have in my life because of fame and Drag Race. I am more grounded because of the whirlwind that my life is, because now I know who has genuine love and joy for me, because now I know how to actually receive it.
How do you stay grounded? Because, you know, with fame, it can be so difficult to
Hmm.
not get caught up in it and to, you know, remember who you are at the core. I mean, you are a star at your core. So, but how do you keep that groundedness?
I think that's just it though. In like a funny way, like it's like because I've been like training for this my whole life, as we just saw in that video, which I can't wait to receive. Um, I've always wanted to do this, and I've always wanted to make sure that the people around me feel special because I've been the assistant to the celebrity who treated me like shit. I've been disappointed where I was so excited to meet Nicole Scherzinger, and she took a selfie with me, but only because she had to, and she kind of like wanted me off after, and I was like, oh, okay, she's lost in the sauce. I get it, right? I do get it. I stay grounded by remembering that I am a fan. I am the super fan. I'm the super fan. And I also stay grounded by the people around me who don't have to feel like after they compliment me, they say, but don't let it get to your head. You know, the same way that they're able to say, I'm so proud of you, I'm also able to say, I'm so proud of you for your accomplishment as well. That's how I stay grounded because I don't feel like I have to hide my accomplishments from the people around me. Because the minute you feel you have to hide them, is that's when you become like this monster because you feel like, well, they want to keep me down, so I guess I'm gonna just like fuck them and go party and buy Louis Vuitton bags or whatever. But no, that like that's how I stay grounded because I never wanted to. When you're somebody who's been treated like shit, you either like become the person who treats other people like shit, or you become the other side of it. And I was like, no, 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 no. I want people to feel joy, so that's how. And having a
And
boyfriend is helpful, and like having a close relationship with my mom is so helpful. But I would say that, and also when you do all of this yourself and you're not handed this, and you're sitting there begging the music distributor to make sure you get playlists, it's humbling. It's like wow, like I will for sure be able to say in my award show acceptance speech that well, this makes sense. I really worked really hard for this, and it's been years and years of people ignoring my emails and or answering them and giving me a shot. But now look, it was all worth it, you know? So
yeah.
that's how I stay grounded to realize that like this is not a thing that I was given, it's a thing that I went to go get.
And you do bring so much joy.
Thank
Like
you.
so much joy. I mean, again, a natural born performer, as we saw from that video, but to see your evolution, right?
Thank
Even at the
you.
album release, um, I want to also thank you because you got my mom open-minded into drag because the first season of
Yeah,
drag, of
you
Canada's
mentioned
Drag Race,
something about this. Yes.
yeah. So the
Can you tell
first,
everyone this story?
yeah, yeah. So the
I found
first
stories like this so fascinating.
So, I mean, my mom's from a tiny island, Mauritius, and she's always been much more open-minded than the rest of her family. So, any gay friends that I had growing up, university, everything, she would invite them in, cook them food and everything. But I think drag was something that was so, you know, beyond her scope. And I remember telling her, I was like, oh my gosh, Canada's Drag Race. Mark, do you remember Mark? She's like, of course I remember Mark. I'm like, Mark's a drag queen. Mark's going to be on it. And she was like, we have to watch. And it was during COVID,
Yeah.
right? So that was our thing. We would watch Drag Race together. My favorite was it Brenda from Ajax?
Yeah. What
But
was her like? These stories are always so shocking to me because, like, imagine that you weren't watching the screen and you were watching your mom watch drag, like this boy
yeah,
she knew
yeah.
as your friend dressed up as a woman. Like, what was what were you experiencing in that room?
I felt her pride. Like I
Wow.
saw that she was so proud of you because she remembers how funny you are, how you were dancing. Like she remembers you like that. So in a similar way, how when I see you like that, and I'm going to tear up because it makes me so emotional, right? Seeing you come fully into your own, unapologetically,
Right.
unabashedly, unashamed of it, you know, like proudly come into your own. She saw that too. She recognized that, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like." She's beautiful. Priyanka is beautiful, right? She's always like, look at the hair and the makeup and the outfits. Like she's fascinated by it. But she's been watching Drag Race since,
Holy
like
shit.
independently. And she's like an almost 70-year-old Chinese woman, watching Drag Race independently, which is really cool.
Yeah. And that like it's just like one of my like things now is that like we can entertain anyone, and it like it can be in a gimmicky drag racy way, or it can be you listen to a song of mine on Spotify. It's just like it's like that's it. Like it's proving my point that like you can drag can entertain everybody. It's not just for one kind of person, it's for everybody. And it's so cool to hear these stories because like to your point, like 70-year-old, like I dare you to like even like if we were to have this conversation in high school and you were to say, do you think that when my mom is 70 she'd watch a show called Drag Race where men dress up as women? I'd be like, no.
I didn't even know what a drag queen was in high school.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know. I'm trying to think of when I found out what a drag queen was.
Like what I remember is, men dressing up like, remember Maury Povich? I would always watch Maury
Yes.
Povich when I was
The
homesick from
cross-dresser
school.
episodes.
Yeah, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
people would guess, is that a man or a woman? Like, how fucked
Yeah.
up is that?
That actually makes more sense as to why the gimmickiness of it all has been so hard to break out of because that's the foundation of society. Like White Chicks, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
White Chicks is such a
Yes.
good movie, by the way.
So good.
Um, it's always been like a gimmicky thing. That makes sense. And then now it's like drag is an art form, everybody. Don't you get it?
We don't have too much time left, but is there anything else that you want to tell the world, share with the world?
World. I mean, I think that we all know people that are the way that like you saw me in high school. Like we always knew. But the one thing that is so important to remember in this entire conversation that we had is that like you as a supportive friend never ever put pressure on me to have to answer to who I was or why I was the way I was. And you created a safe space just because who you are and like your upper I don't know why you are this way. But whatever, and I think that's the message of this whole thing is that like here I was in this basement with, all these girls and dancing in the Pussycat Dolls, and no one once made that about my sexuality or why am I not dancing to boy music or why don't I listen to boy music. It was never about that. It was just like, oh my God, that was so fun. See you on Monday at school. Bye. And I think
Literally.
that space for, whether or not I ended up becoming a drag queen or becoming queer, whether or not whatever, like people just need a fucking playground to find themselves in. And it's very clear from that video that I just watched that that was my playground.
Yes.
And that's the message is that like do not question people. You could be there for people without having to question who they are. And I didn't even realize how important that what I'm saying right now is until I watched that video. Crazy. Oh my God. This whole Devastation press tour has actually been like so therapeutic, but also I keep like having these moments where I'm like, what the hell is happening?
What is your life?
What is my life? Because I'm like, yeah, this is all like, woo, like face of Apple Music, baby, like
Yeah.
interview, press another press album, ha. But then I'm like realizing, like, oh my God, like it's wild what the universe will show you to continue to add to your message to keep inspiring people to be like, yeah, like this is the 101 on how to be yourself. What?
That has to be your book, your memoir.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, to close things off, let's just do a little more photos.
Yeah.
Let's go down memory lane.
Yes, I want to see everything.
All right.
Okay, I'm
No
gonna
one
like.
here.
Okay, yeah, the crop
We
noticeably.
cropped. We cropped.
This is actually. I know we don't have a lot of time,
Okay.
but this is something that a lot of people of color experience. I do want to ask you, because you are also a go-getter too. Don't forget, it was you who I saw on Rogers TV who inspired me to go into television. I forget. have you also suffered friendship losses throughout your life that you simply can't wrap your head around sometimes?
Oh yeah, 100%. And a lot of it was recognizing that a lot of people who I thought were my friends were never truly happy for me for my successes. So I always felt like I had to dim them or I couldn't fully be myself. And one thing I kind of think of, it's like if I were to win the lottery one day, right? Who would genuinely be happy for me? Who would come knocking at my door because they want a piece of whatever? And who would be the people who be like, man, that's fucking amazing, right? So I think, recognizing that I don't want to dim myself anymore, right? I want to be who I am too. And I want to be able to be proud of my accomplishments and say those things because I think as people of color, we are generally much harder on ourselves than most, right? So when we actually are proud of something, we need to embrace that
Yeah,
and be able to share it again unapologetically.
I totally agree with you. Wow. That's what this photo brought up. So okay,
Yes.
next.
Okay, cool. Next.
Oh, the fashion show. Ah, look at me. Look at you, bitch. Work.
Look at you on that stage. Again, born to be on stage.
In the pulling center, of
Of
course.
course. Of course. Of course, pulling center.
So
And
happy, like
Lisa.
look at the joy in my face. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm like, I'm on stage, yay.
Yes. Yes, to adoring fans.
Ula Faith. Oh, she's beautiful. Look at
She's
me.
beautiful. But look at you. Look at
Is this a
me.
fashion show still?
This was still a fashion show. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
This
Oh,
one,
hey,
you were too tall, so I couldn't reach my.
yes. Lisa.
Yes.
I remember this being a moment of
It was
like,
a moment.
yeah, I remember this.
Yes. And I remember my mom talking about that afterwards, being like, oh my God, that part when Mark lifted his leg up was like the best.
Oh, because
I think that's all I have.
there she is. That's Priyanka. Like
That's Priyanka.
you can't fight it.
No, there she is. Yeah. That's all I have for now. But
Incredible.
yeah,
Wow.
this was the best thing to catch up with you and to, again, I've told you a million times how proud I am of you. And it like literally makes me emotional every time I see you perform because again, I think of just Mark in the basement and like, you are a global icon now. You are a star, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am, and this has been this. It's not lost on me that like everything has connected so perfectly. And like that video is actually crazy. And that's I just like I think about like
I like
the
that.
beauty of the safe space. I think about the pure entertainment of that video. What the hell is happening? I love it. Um, this has been actually psychotic.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
again, like if you were to ask me what I thought this interview was gonna be before I did it, it was not gonna be this. I feel so like complete. That's like the best way to describe it. I didn't think this was gonna actually be as deep as it was, and not. I don't know why. I just was like, oh yeah, like we're gonna shoot the shit, like laugh about high school, like keep it pushing. But this is amazing. This is amazing.
I love you.
I
I
love you
love you
so
so much.
much.
Thank you so much for your time. And everyone go listen to Devastation because it's
Yeah,
a banger.
'cause duh.
Duh.